Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In the course of this video lesson, I'll be teaching on a very important aspect in chemistry, and it is on balancing chemical reactions. This aspect of chemistry is extremely very important in different topics. Without understanding this concept properly, solving some calculation questions will be very difficult. And in the course of this lesson, I'll be explaining everything you need to know on balancing chemical reactions. Let's get into the first practice example. I believe you can see the question on the board. It is very easy. I'll be giving you the steps to take whenever you are to balance a chemical reactions. All of these things written on the board, they are regarded to be chemical reactions, and also all of them are unbalanced. We have to balance them. It is very, very important. So let's get into the first practice example written on the board. And also at the end of this particular video lesson, I'm going to give you your own practice questions so you solve and provide the answers in the comment section. So let's get into these questions. The first question is here. So I believe you can see the first question. It is a reaction between an element called xenon reacting with another element which is called fluorine to give me this product. Now this question, balancing this reaction is so easy. So just watch closely. Now you can see that this particular video lesson is focusing on strictly how to balance chemical reaction. It is not focusing on how to write chemical reactions. So how all of these were written, they are all simple as well. But in this video, we are learning how to balance reactions. So watch closely. So the first step to take when balancing any chemical reaction is to divide that reaction into two sides. So this is the reaction. I'm going to divide this reaction as I just did now. In a reaction, we have two sides. We have the product side, and as well as we have the reactant side. So the left-hand side of a reaction is the reactant side, whereby the right-hand side is the product side. So let's call this the left-hand side of a reaction because it's found in the left. And let's call this the right. So this is the right-hand side of a reaction. So the next thing I do is to simply write out the elements I am seeing in both sides of the reaction. This is what I mean. In the left-hand side, I can see just two elements. Watch closely. The first element I am seeing here is xenon. Are you there? It's very simple. I can see xenon. And the other element I'm seeing is fluorine. And it is symbolized as F. I know I am seeing F2, but I just said write out the elements. You are not writing the numbers attached to the element. You will get there. Write out the element which I just did in the left. So let's check our right hand side to also write out the element we are seeing. Are you there? Watch closely. It is very easy. So in the right hand side, the first element I'm seeing also is xenon. Are you there? Whereby the other element I'm seeing here is fluorine. So it is F as well. So you can see at the end of doing this, I had the same elements in my left and also the same elements in my right. So this tells us that this reaction was written properly. So our task here is to balance the reaction. So first thing we do is to check if the reaction is balanced. Watch closely. Simple. So in the left hand side, how many xenon can we see? Actually, the way we call it is how many xenon atom can we see? So just watch. It is very simple. So in the left, I can just see one xenon. If 2 was added to the front, I will say we have 2 xenon there. So I'm seeing 1. So at the left, I am seeing 1 xenon. Are you there? Let's check for fluorine at the left as well. You can see here that I can see fluorine written as F2. So it means here that we have two fluorine atoms. We had two fluorine in the left. Simple. You can see if here was three fluorine. If here was 1 million fluorine. So at the left, I am having two fluorine. Let's go over to the right hand side of this reaction to check if it's the same number we are getting. So if it's not the same number, then there is a need to balance the reaction, and I'm going to teach you how it's done. It is extremely very simple. So in the right hand side of this reaction, here I am seeing just one xenon. All right, it is simple, it is not difficult. Let's say 2 was here, it's going to be 2 xenon. Let's say 3 was here, it's going to be 3 xenon. Are you there? Let's say 2 was at the front, it's going to be 2 xenon as well. But listen, I'm going to tell you some things you must note so that you don't make mistake when doing this in your exam. All right, so at the right as well, I am seeing F6. It means that we have 6 atoms of fluorine. So here is going to be 6. I believe you are following. So at the end of doing this, you can see at the left and at the right hand side of this reaction, the numbers we got are not the same. So it means that there is a need to balance this reaction. And how do we do that? It is very simple. So this is where you have to listen carefully. Now moving further, what do we do next? It is simple. Now let me just tell you something you should note always. Whenever you are balancing a reaction and you've gotten to this stage, the next thing you do is to now start thinking of numbers you are to add to these elements to make sure that both of them at both sides are balanced. And you should focus more on the side with lesser number. I believe you are following me, because the other side is already higher. So there is nothing you can do to that side that is higher, because if you keep on adding numbers to those sides that is higher, it's going to become more high than the sides that have lower numbers. So focus more on the sides with lower numbers. So this is what I mean. Listen carefully. So if you observe carefully, you can see that xenon here was 1. Xenon here was 1 as well. So xenon is okay a little bit. But as we go ahead to balance this reaction, we can add numbers to xenon to actually affect this. So we can actually change the 1 we are having. So watch. So let's focus on more on the fluorine at both sides. So if you observe here, we have how many fluorine? We have 6 fluorine. Here we have how many? We have 2 fluorine atoms. So what do we do? Now, before I go ahead to start balancing this reaction, there's something important for me to tell you. You add numbers only at the front of the elements or compounds. You cannot start adding numbers here. All these places, you cannot add numbers anymore. You only add numbers to balance a reaction at the beginning. Are you there? So, now listen carefully. For me to make sure that this fluorine that is 2 becomes 6, what will I do? Smart. You have to be smart. You have to simply add 3 in the front of this fluorine. If I do that, because the numbers you are adding at the front is timesing anything you are having. So here is 3, and here we already have 2. So it's going to be 3 times 2. Are you there? So 3 times 2, what are we having? We are having 6 fluorine now at the left. So you can see that we balance the fluorine. So I have to cancel that 2 we are having to become 6, because we have added 3 to the front of fluorine, making this reaction to be balanced. So you can see how it was solved so easy, not difficult. The reason I had to take my time for this first example, so that as we progress to solve other questions, okay, it won't be difficult for you. Just know exactly what to do. So let's get into the next practice question, because in this video lesson, we are going to solve so many questions, and also I'm still going to give you your own practice questions, so you solve and provide the answers in the comment section. If you are just joining this community and you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, make sure you click on the subscribe button to my channel and also share my videos with your friends. So let's get into the next practice question. All right, I believe you can see the question written on the board. What's the first step? I told you, you have to divide the reaction into 2 sides. All right, this is the left hand side, this is the right hand side. This is your reactant side, and as well, this is your product side. So what do we do? So this is the left hand side, this is the right hand side of the reaction. You bring out the elements next. That's the next step. So here, how many elements am I having? I'm having sulfur. Also, I'm having oxygen. I told you just the elements without the numbers first. Here at the right, what am I having? I'm having sulfur as well, and also I'm having oxygen. So next step, you bring out the numbers you are having initially before you balance it. So sulfur at the left, I'm having 8. So you write 8 sulfur. Are you there? Oxygen at the left, how many am I having? I'm having 2. Are you there? So moving further, we've done the left hand side. Let's go over to the right hand side of this reaction. At the right, I'm having just 1 sulfur. Are you there? Because I'm just seeing 1. You can't tell me it's 2. You can't tell me there's 3 or 1 million. It is 1 sulfur. I believe you are following. It is very simple. At the right as well, I'm having 2 oxygen. And what did I tell you? As soon as you've gotten it and you see that, oh, they are not balanced, you focus more on the side with lesser number. Do you understand? So then we have to focus more on our right hand side. So what do we do next to make sure that we have 8 sulfur at the right? I told you already, you only add numbers to the beginning, at the beginning of the element or compound. That's what you do. So to make sure that this is 8 as well, this sulfur is 8, what do you think we should do? It is very smart for us to simply add 8 at the front of this. Are you following me? Because if I add 8 at the front now, listen, this 8 I'm adding is affecting sulfur and as well as it's affecting oxygen. Listen carefully. Whenever you're having a compound and a number is standing in front of that compound, know that number is affecting all the elements. Are you there? So now we've actually balanced sulfur. For me, adding 8 to this compound, it has altered oxygen that was balanced. So we have to be careful now. Listen carefully. So what do we do next? If you observe, I told you these numbers we are adding in front of them is times in them. So here now is going to be 8 times 2 oxygen we had initially. So 8 times 2, that is 16. So at the right hand side of this equation, 2 will definitely change to 16. So oxygen now, we are now having 16 atoms of oxygen. Are you following me? It is very easy. So what do we do next? We have to now check at the left to make sure it's still balanced. So I told you only add numbers at the front of them. So to balance this oxygen that was 2, to make sure that it's still 16, it is smart for me to simply put 8 in the front. So when I do that, what do you think I will get? Because definitely it's going to be 8 times 2. I told you the numbers in front of them times any number you're having. So 8 times 2 already is still 16. I believe you understand how it was solved. So at the end of everything, the sulfur was 8 at the left, sulfur was 8 at the right, oxygen was 16 at the left, oxygen was 16 at the right as well. I believe you are following. It is very easy. So let's get into the next practice example. So moving over to the next practice question, and I believe you can see the reaction. Let us balance it together. It is very simple. So the first step to take is to divide the reaction into 2 sides. So let's do that, which we just did, all right? So moving further, we have to write out the elements we're having at both sides, all right? This is the left and this is the right. So in the left, we are having H, hydrogen, also we are having oxygen. Are you there? In the right hand side, the same, we are having hydrogen and as well as we are having oxygen. So what do we do next? Very simple. In the left, let's bring out the atoms given to us, the numbers of the elements given to us initially before we balance. So in the left, I'm having 2 hydrogen. In the left as well, I'm having 2 oxygen. I believe you are following me. In the right now, I'm having 2 hydrogen and as well as how many oxygen. I believe you can see that there is no number in front. So you can't tell me that this is 2, this is 1, because oxygen is just standing on its own like this because there is no number at the front of it. If there was a number, then it's going to affect. But now, if you observe, the reaction is not balanced. We're having 2 here and 1 here. So we have to make sure it is balanced and it is very simple to do. So what we simply do, I believe you already know what to do, add numbers in the front of the elements or compound. So I told you before, you have to focus on the sides with lesser numbers. So you can see that this have lesser number than this. Then focus on this side. So what do? It's wise for you to make sure that the oxygen here is still 2 as this. It's wise for you to put in front, right? Yes. Because if you do that, it's going to be 2 oxygen now. So this one will be 2. Are you there? Because the 2 has affected the oxygen. So it's going to be 2 oxygen at top, whereby it's going to still affect hydrogen that was balanced initially. So 2 times 2, that's 4. Hydrogen will now be 4. We'll change that. So moving further, let's check for the hydrogen in the left because it has been altered. Are you there? So then it's wise for me to put 2 in the front because if I do that, it's going to be 2 times 2 and that is 4. I believe you understand how this reaction was balanced. It is very easy. For you to master this aspect, in the JAMB exam, you have to practice a lot of questions, all right? So it's very simple. So let's get into the next practice example. So moving further, let's get into this question. It is very easy. First step, we divide into two sides. I believe you are following me. The left hand side, you write out the elements you are seeing. I can see iron, Fe, I can see hydrogen, and also I can see oxygen. Write it out without the numbers attached first, and then do the same. I can see iron, all right. I can see oxygen. Then it's best for you to put oxygen down so that it will be the same, so you don't confuse yourself. I also can see hydrogen. I'll put it here. I believe you are following me. So what becomes the next step? The next step is to simply write out the numbers you are actually seeing for this element initially, the way the reaction was written. So iron here, I'm having one ion because that's the only ion I can see. For hydrogen, at the left, I am seeing just two. So here becomes two hydrogen. For the left as well, I can see just one oxygen. All right, so here becomes one. Let's go over to the right hand side. The right hand side, I can see three ion. All right. For the right hand side as well, I can see four oxygen atom. All right, four oxygen. This question is simple. Just be very smart. It's very simple. Whereby for hydrogen in the right, I can see two as well. And if you observe what's happening now, you can see that the equation is not balanced. All right, we're having 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 4. So what do? I told you focus more on the left to know how to put numbers to make sure that it is equal to the right hand side. So let's look at it carefully so we can solve this question together. So first, for us to balance ion, here we're having 3 ion, here we're having 1 ion. What do you think I should do? I told you only add numbers at the front. It's wise for me to put 3 here to make sure that ion becomes 3. So 1 will be cancelled, becoming 3 ion. I believe you understand how that was solved, because we have to make sure that here that is 3 becomes 3 as well. So we must make sure we put 3 in the front. I believe you understand what I'm doing. It is very simple. So moving further, let's check for hydrogen. All right, hydrogen at the left we're having 2. All right, at the right we are having 2. All right, it's a little bit balanced. Let's go over to oxygen, but we can still alter it. So if we balance oxygen, all right, because you can see it's 2 2. So let's leave that now and go over to oxygen. Oxygen at the left I'm having 1. Oxygen at the right I'm having 4. What do you think I should do? It is wise for me to pull, it's wise for me to pull 4. Yes, it is wise for me to put 4 in the front of water, H2O. Because if I do that, it's going to balance my oxygen that was 4 in the right. Because here is going to be 4 oxygen, but this 4 is affecting hydrogen. So that means we have to alter hydrogen that was balanced initially. I believe you understand what's happening here. So it's going to be 4 oxygen, so this will be 4, making sure that it is balanced. Are you there? So let's get back to hydrogen, because now we've altered it. So it's going to be how many? 4 times 2. 4 times 2 is already 8 hydrogen at the left. So here it becomes 8. All right. So cancel these 2 and put 8 hydrogen. We must make sure that the hydrogen at the right is still 8. And we're having H2 here. What do you think I should do? It is very simple. Comment down what you write here before I actually put the answer, to make sure that we're having 8 here. Comment down what the number I have to write to times 2 to give us 8. It's simple now. And to simply put 4 in front of hydrogen there, because if I put 4, it's going to be 4 times 2, and that is what? 8. I believe you understand how all these questions are solved. It is very simple. So let's get into more practice example and get ready for your own practice questions. Are you finding it difficult to solve questions like this in the JAMB exam? Look no further. Here is the solution to that problem. Here is the chemistry masterpiece written by me, a book with detailed explanation to different topics in chemistry, specifically focusing on chemistry calculations and as well as those key informations you need in the JAMB chemistry exam. For every topic you read, there are practice questions at the beginning of each topics in the chemistry masterpiece to actually test your knowledge on that particular topic you are studying. For more information getting the chemistry masterpiece, do well to direct message me via my WhatsApp number. It will be here on the screen. So let's get into the next practice examples. All right. So for the question 5, you solve this question and provide the answer in the comment section, where you have to balance this reaction. Currently now, it is not balanced, so you have to balance it. And to do that is extremely very easy. All right. So whereby for question Okay, let's progress first before we can. I'll give you another one. All right. So here are the practice questions you solve for me. You solve 5, you solve 8, and also you solve 9. So I want to tackle question 7, all right, because it is important to solve 7. So you can use that method to solve question 9. It's so simple. So get ready for your own practice question. I'm going to work towards question 6. Maybe you take the last question, question 10. All right, get ready. So let's work towards question 7 first of all. So what's the first step to take when balancing a reaction? You listen carefully, divide the reaction into two sides, whereby at the left you write out all the elements you are seeing. This one is so simple, you don't have to be scared because the reaction is long. No, you don't have to be simple. Whereby at the left, I'm having calcium, Ca. Also, I'm having sulfur. Also, I'm having oxygen. Also, I'm having sodium, Na. And lastly, I am having nitrogen. It is simple. Just watch closely. So I'm going to take the line down at the right. You know, when you're having at your left, and also it should be the same with your right, but let's just determine it as well. Calcium, I can see first. The next I'm seeing is nitrogen. All right, so I'm going to put it at the last. I believe you are following me. Simple. All right. The next I'm seeing is oxygen. I'm going to make sure it's in the same line. All right. The next I am seeing is sodium, Na. Sodium will be here. All right. The next I am seeing is sulfur. So sulfur should be here. I believe you are following me. And also I'm seeing oxygen as well. I can't write another oxygen because we've written another oxygen already. So what do we do to balance this reaction? It is very, very simple. First of all, the next step is to simply write all the elements, all the numbers we are having for these elements in this reaction initially before we balance it. All right. So it's very simple. Just listen carefully. So moving further, at the left for calcium, we're having just one calcium, right? One. At the left as well for sulfur, we're having just one sulfur. Sulfur becomes one as well. At the left, let's check for oxygen. At this particular part of this compound, oxygen is 4. Listen, oxygen is 4. Whenever we have 2 elements or 3 elements or 4 elements in different sides of this reaction, because I can see oxygen in the left, also same in the left, I can see another oxygen, we're having 3. So you add them. So 4 plus 3, what's that? That's 7. So altogether, I'm having 7 oxygen atoms at the left-hand side of this reaction. I believe you understood how that 7 was gotten. Here is 4, here is 3. So plus them together, that's 7. Are you there? So at the right, okay, we are not done. Let's quickly check for sodium. At the left as well, I'm having just 1 sodium. At the left as well, I'm having just 1 nitrogen. I believe you understand. So let's do the same for the right and start balancing the reaction. Remember I said you focus on the sides with lesser numbers. All right, you start adding numbers in their front. You don't add numbers in their back. Are you there? So let's walk towards the right and write out the numbers and then compare. Let's balance it. It's very simple. So moving further, calcium in the right hand side, we are having 1 calcium as well. This 2 is not affecting. I'm going to teach you how to actually break this compound. You don't have to be scared because the compound is in a bracket. Listen carefully, be able to balance it. Simple. Calcium is not affected by these 2 because this 2 is not actually surrounding the full compound. It's just surrounding NO3. So it's not affecting calcium. Let's say the bracket was at the end, then it's going to affect it. So calcium is 1 at the right hand side. So let's check sulfur. At the right hand side, we have just 1 sulfur. This one does not have brackets. So we have just 1 sulfur. Are you there? It's very simple. So moving over to check for oxygen. Simple. How many oxygen atoms are we having in the right? Oxygen appeared in 2 parts of this compound. Oxygen appeared here and oxygen appeared in this compound bracket. So this one in a bracket, you have to be careful so you don't make any mistake. In this side, this one is simple now. We have just 4 oxygen here. So let's determine the oxygen here. So we can then at the end add it as same in this part of this reaction. So we're having 4. So let's check how many oxygen here. Let us say 2 was not appearing. How many oxygen are we going to get? We are going to get just 3. But 2 here outside, it means that 2 is timesing everything inside the bracket, like mathematics. When there's a number outside the bracket, it means that it's timesing everything. So just have that in your mind. So 2 is affecting oxygen, 2 is affecting nitrogen. So 2 times this 3 is going to be 6. So 6 oxygen we have all together in this part. So then 6 plus the 4, what's that? 10. So we have 10 oxygen at the right hand side of this reaction. I believe you are following. Is very simple. So let's check for sodium at the right. At the right we have 2 sodium, so here becomes equal to 2. Whereby nitrogen at the right as well, how many? We have it normally supposed to be 1, but because 2 was outside, so it's going to be 2 times that 1, that making a nitrogen to be 2 in general. I believe you understand how this was determined. So let us balance the reaction. And what did I tell you? Focus on the side with lesser number. This is the side with lesser number. So let's try to now start putting numbers in front. I told you put numbers in what? In front. So as to balance the reaction. So what do we do first? So if you observe, you can see that calcium initially, the way they gave us was balanced, so we'll leave calcium first. We are still going to come back to it, but since it's just 1 1 at both sides, we'll leave it. Sulfur is 1 1 at both sides, we'll leave it as well. But oxygen now is 7 here. Oxygen is 10, so we have to start thinking on how we can balance oxygen. All right, so it is wise, first of all, here is a trick. All right, so when you see a compound, a question like this that has bracket in it and there is oxygen, and this oxygen appeared in like 2 sides of the reaction, I would advise you to leave oxygen first and focus on the 2 other remaining species which were not balanced. All right, so sodium is 1 here, sodium is 2 here, is not balanced. So it's easier for me to just work on sodium to make sure that sodium is balanced. Since sodium is 2 here, so it's best for me to put 2 here, because we are balancing this sodium automatically, is still balancing oxygen. I believe you understand what's happening here. So here is 2 sodium already, so making sure that sodium is already 2 and is balancing the sodium. Are you there? Let's check for nitrogen, how to balance nitrogen to make sure it's 2 as well. So do that is very simple. All right, nitrogen automatically, the 2 I added actually balance nitrogen, because 2 is affecting everything. I told you add numbers only in the front of the compound, not like inside. You can't put 2 here and it doesn't work that way. All right, so it's going to be 2 nitrogen as well, making sure that nitrogen is balanced. So as we've done that, automatically oxygen was altered as well. So here now we're having 2 times 3, 2 times 3, 2 times 3. 2 times 3 is what? 6. 6 oxygen here. All right, here we're having 4 oxygen. Are you there? 4 oxygen. So 6. What is that? 10 oxygen. So this 7 we are going to scrap it out to make it 10. Wow. Oxygen in the right is still 10. So you can see how this reaction was actually balanced without stress. We balance this reaction. So in summary on this example, whenever you see that not just oxygen, any elements at all, that you see that it appeared in both sides and you see that it's not balanced, and the other ones which you need to still balance, leave that element and go to the other ones. You balancing the other ones automatically is still going to balance that one that was actually too difficult for you to think. Do you understand? So that's how it works. It's very simple. So let's get into the next practice example, which is question number 10. So you just do the remaining ones. All right, they are all simple. So here is how it works. It's simple. You divide the reaction into 2 sides, the way I just did. Then you write out the elements. We're having carbon here, we're having hydrogen here, and also we're having oxygen, CHO. We're having carbon, we're having oxygen, and also we're having hydrogen. Though we have another oxygen, but you can put it, you're already written oxygen there. Write out the element for here, left hand side 3, for left hand side hydrogen 8, for left hand side oxygen 2. All right, for the right hand side carbon we're having 1, just 1 carbon. For the right hand side hydrogen we're having 2. I believe you understand. For the right hand side oxygen we're having 2 here and 1 here. So 2 plus 1, that is what? 3. So you can see that the reaction is not balanced. So what do we do next? Very simple. Focus on the side with lesser number. Focus on this side with lesser number. All right. So what do we do next? It's simple. Since we're having 3 carbon here, so it's best for me to put 3 at the front of carbon, making sure that this carbon is 3. Are you there? So you can see how the carbon at both sides of the reaction was balanced, because we had 3 carbon here. Definitely, for we to balance the carbon at the right, we are supposed to add a number. No, I told you only add numbers at the front. All right. So when we do that, it has affected the carbon, so making it 3 carbon. All right. So move over to hydrogen and try to balance hydrogen. At the left, we are having 8. At the right, we have 2. So I said focus on the sides with lower numbers. All right. So since we have 8 here, we have 2 here. So what do we add to in the front? Because hydrogen is here. So what do we add in front of hydrogen to make sure that it's still 8 we are having in the right, and it's 8 that was found at the left? So it's wise for us to put 4 in front of the water, because when we do that, it's going to be 4 times 2, and that is 8 as well. So you can see we balance hydrogen. Very simple. So let's check out for oxygen, if oxygen is balanced, because at the left we are having 2, at the right we are having 3. So what do we do? Let's check first of all, we've added numbers. So let's see if oxygen was balanced in doing all of these things. So now oxygen we're having 3 at the front affecting oxygen, we're having 2 already. So 3 times 2, that's 6 oxygen. So 6 oxygen here, so we're having 4. 4 is affecting everything, so we're having 4 oxygen here. So 4 plus that's 6. So what is that? That's 10. Wow. So this 3 that was here is going to be changed to 10. So how do we now balance this one at the left? Simple. It is simple. We are having 2 here. So what number do you think I should add in front of oxygen to make sure that it's still 10? 5. 5 times 2, that's 10. It's just for you to think and know numbers that you will need to actually put in front of this element to make sure that any reaction you are balancing is actually balanced. It's simple. It's just for you to, be calm when you are solving practice questions. So you work on question 9, you work on question 8, you work on question 5, and also work on question 6. So all these are your own practice questions. So we've come to the end of this video lesson. If you find my video lesson helpful, make sure you click on the subscribe button to my channel and also share my lessons with your friends. Thanks for watching. Are you finding it difficult to solve questions like this in the JAMB exam? Look no further. Here is the solution to that problem. Here is the chemistry masterpiece written by me, a book with detailed explanation to different topics in chemistry, specifically focusing on chemistry calculations and as well as those key informations you need in the JAMB chemistry exam. For every topic you read, there are practice questions at the beginning of each topics in the chemistry masterpiece to actually test your knowledge on that particular topic you are studying. For more information getting the chemistry masterpiece, do well to direct message me via my WhatsApp number. It will be here on the screen.